Why?
No, I just realized that I was like, wow,
Oh.
that hike really got to you.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I got my lashes done today, and the lady who was doing them, I told her about the hike, and then I showed her the video clip. Did you guys see the video I did of the hike?
No, I haven't seen it.
No, not the live. The 60-second. I mean, like a really fancy 60-second.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it yet. I haven't been on Instagram yet.
It was 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Like I haven't been through my.
Y'all didn't have 60 seconds.
I'm going to put it on my high priority.
I believe the
social
children of the
media.
future, huh?
Yeah.
You young people, you didn't have the patience for watching 60 seconds.
I don't be on Instagram. I'm a TikTok girl.
I really feel like I sometimes act younger than y'all. Like we sometimes switch
Really?
places. Perfect example. I was like, "Yo, hey, my friend has this amazing party. It's a celebrity DJ. It's queer, so you guys will feel comfortable. Come out." And Mardoche was like, "Oh, we're gonna be in bed at that time. We don't really do."
We don't really party like that.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
How old are you?
25.
Y'all think
I go to bed at 9 p.m.
at 25?
I just be tired.
At 26?
I got chronic fatigue.
You know what I'm realizing? There's a genre of people your age who I call them premature grandmas.
Yeah.
I know a lot of 20-somethings who act like grandmothers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, us mid-30s, early 40s, we're still popping it like we did in the 90s. Like, what is going on?
I think the
Social media.
the pandemic messed it up. Like, I think after the pandemic, I'm like, I'm good chilling at home.
Y'all were like this before the pandemic, but that's cute for you. Look at your face.
I feel like after I graduated college, and then I graduated college and the pandemic started, right? And so I moved back home, and I'm home, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I'm with my parents. Of course, I have to be more sheltered. You can't be like, you know what I mean? And then the pandemic happened. I'm like, oh, I can't even be more, like.
But you don't even want to. You can't.
Nah,
you just don't want to. There's a difference. And I think
I
think that social media is aging you guys.
It could be so.
Because I think that remember we were talking about this in the car. The younger generation is pushing out earlier. Like usually you're 35 before you're out of touch with the new music and you feel like you don't know what's popular. Because of TikTok, 12-year-olds are making 25-year-olds feel like grandmas.
But I also think another hypothesis.
12-year-olds did not even have that bandwidth or Wi-Fi when I was 12. I had no ability to make the elders feel like old people yet.
That's true. But I have a hypothesis too.
And
I have a hypothesis is that I think for us too, being like academics within our immediate family, like the smart ones, and then going to college. Like we did everything right to get into college. We got into college and we let that Band-Aid rip hard, like hard, really hard. And so by the time senior year came and we graduated, we were just tired.
So
you know what I mean?
we went hard.
A little too hard from what our norm was.
You guys,
you know
I hate to break it to you, but I'm the academic of my family. None of that.
No, you don't think so?
No. Everything you just described is what everybody goes through.
Yeah.
I guess just very
like everybody who was like you when they were older is not this tired, this young.
I also think for me, I got, I don't know, my anxiety level went up like after the pandemic. So it's overwhelming being in these crowds now. Like
that's true.
It's so overwhelming.
One of my friends who's like really like just sexy and outgoing and fun, and I just think of him as that person. We had dinner last week. And he admitted, he was like, I have social anxiety. I was like, when did that happen? He's like, I haven't bounced back from the pandemic. I have social anxiety now. The person that you keep on inviting me to these parties and you think I haven't been him in 3 years.
That's me.
It's like getting to know a newer version of yourself.
So you guys have some PTSD around the pandemic.
I don't know what it is. It's something.
I think I do.
You really?
You know what's so wild? Because I don't have any.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have any PTSD from the pandemic. I enjoyed it. One of my friends posted, can we get a non-deathly version of the pandemic so I can go back to sleeping more?
Oh,
I'm
for
down.
sure.
I'm down for that.
If you could work from home again, make money, get that pandemic, what was it? Stimulus and unemployment?
Well, some of us did not make enough. They made too much to get the stimulus thing.
I didn't get the stimulus either.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
You're
nice.
right.
You got stimulus?
Moment of silence. Only me.
No, shout out to academic poverty. We appreciate that. Yeah. You know what? Actually, let's do the intro because we went right into that. Okay. Guys, those voices that you've been hearing, this is a Humanized first. Apologies for looking tired. I'm exhausted. Are you guys tired too?
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
I'm not going to tell you when this is being filmed. Actually, I can tell you. This is a pre-recording. We're filming this on St. Patrick's Day. Woo. And Chani Nichols, who's like a really great astrologer. You know, I love astrology. This podcast is all about astrology. We ask people their signs on the show. She was saying how there's so many planets doing so many bat flips right now. She was like, everybody's going to be exhausted for the rest of this week. And when she said it, I was like, is that what this is? I'm tired. And even yesterday, I kept on saying, where's Chloe? And Mardoche was like, Chloe's sleeping. Anyways, guys, well, the voice that you're hearing is, for the first time ever, I have a family member on Humanized. This is my cousin Mardoche. Woohoo! Clap, 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 clap. And her girlfriend, Chloe. Yo, I cannot believe I'm introducing somebody from, first of all, I'm introducing somebody from my family on the show. And second of all, they are in a queer relationship that we're allowed to talk about in public. Ooh. As immigrants, Mardoche, you know that this is a thing.
This is a big moment right now.
This is a big moment.
This is what our ancestors fought for. Our queer ancestors.
Our Haitian ancestors.
In general.
And I will say this too. Me and Mardoche, I'm Haitian and Cuban. Mardoche is Haitian and Haitian. And Chloe is from Atlanta. Yep. And Chloe, and the reason why I bring that up is because Chloe has some interesting insights into what it is like dating someone in a traditional West Indian household. I'm not saying Haitian because everything that Haitians do, it's pretty much universal to most immigrants and especially the Caribbeans. Mm-hmm. And so before I start, Mardoche, I know you think you're going to be the one going to ask the question. I'm actually going to ask you first, Chloe.
Oh, Lord.
So you nervous? By the way, we're drinking kombucha today. We always have a drink. Last week when I had a taping, I had a pastor. I didn't want to drink around him because that's just the optics. What are we toasting to? Oh, I know what we're toasting to. Breaking generational curses.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because I feel like that's going to be the theme of the conversation. Salud.
Salud.
Ooh, you far, girl.
Okay. There we go.
I had to stretch halfway across the studio to salud, Chloe. And we're drinking kombucha because I just completed a 72-hour fast. And if I was to drink alcohol right now, I'd pass out and the show would be over. So, Chloe, my question for you is, what is it like dating someone who's an immigrant and from a more traditional Caribbean household? Because we're all Black, obviously, but African Americans and Caribbeans are raised very differently.
Yeah.
Unless you have like really strict religious parents, then you were one of us. And I'm curious to hear what your first impression was of our family. Oof. And you can be honest. I'm not gonna take it personal.
Lord, I feel like I'm being put on the spot. I guess my first was
to the mic.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry. I guess my first was like understanding her relationship with her parents. And just because I'm very close to my family, like my mom's my best friend. Like I talk to her every day.
Y'all talk about feelings?
We talk about feelings. We talk like 3 times a day. We talk about sex. We talk about
with
school.
your mother.
With my mother.
Every Caribbean and immigrant person who's listening to you thinks you're wild right now. Go ahead.
That's just cool. I will say like that just happened with her because my grandparents are very religious. Like she was the wild and out sister. Like so it's different with me and her. But anyway, I would say just like understanding her relationship with her mother and her siblings too, I guess. Just understanding her family dynamic and not understanding why she keeps trying.
So be specific because you're speaking cryptically.
You can be honest. It's fine.
You can be honest.
I don't want to put your business out, but just
you can be honest without putting her business out. Is it about how they don't communicate? Is it about how specifically?
I think the communication and them, even though they don't accept her, she still is loving and like has hope for her parents. Like,
the grace that first generation kids show to their immigrant families. Yeah, let's get into it.
I think it's the grace that's.
It requires grace.
Yeah,
we would be orphans without the grace, fam.
Yeah.
So Mardoche, what's interesting for me is when I was about 22, by the time I was 22, I had been engaged twice, and I had not told a single person in my family.
Wow.
Because you know why you've seen our family.
Yes, I have.
And so I got used to, immigrant children are used to lying and picking and choosing what they can share because they don't want to stress out their parents, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's this thing that happened where all my uncles, for some reason, stopped using birth control and kept on showing up with new cousins every week. And I was like, look, y'all, and I was the one who had to raise them all, right? So that's why when people would say, Blue, you don't have any kids, do you ever like yearn for motherhood? I was a mother up until I left my childhood home. Like your sister is my first godchild. I have like 3 or 4 now, right? And so I remember there was one year. What year were we born? 96?
I was born 96.
Yeah, there was that year where I was supposed to be thinking about like going to prom and stuff like and boys and things like that. I was changing diapers, and 1 month my aunt popped out a baby. A month later, my uncle popped out a baby. And I said, y'all got me fucked up if y'all gonna keep on popping out these goddamn babies for me to raise. So I left home as soon as possible. And also too, I had started experimenting with my sexuality. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I can't be gay in this house. I gotta go. So when I came back 15, 20 years later after a tragedy, it took my aunt dying for me to actually come back to the family. I was a prodigal son. Mardoche's an adult now. And I remember I had invited you and our other cousin, Melissa, to come stay with me in West Hollywood for Christmas because Melissa's mother had just died. And I was like, come to LA, I'll fly you out and show you how beautiful life is out here. And we're in the car and we're driving to this expensive ass house in West Hollywood in WeHo that I had rented out. And Mardoche, like, you were in the front seat.
I don't remember this.
This is your Sagittarius. Sagittarius tend to just split things out. And then she was like, yeah, I told my dad that I was coming to stay with you. And her voice had like a bunch of trepidation in it. I said, oh yeah. Okay, and what happened? And she said, he said you were gay. And I was like, wait, what? Mind you, this entire time, I'm thinking I'm in the closet to my family. She's like, yeah, my daddy said you were gay. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at Mardoche's outfit. I was like, nigga, you look gay.
Hat backwards, everything.
I was like, Mardoche, and I said, Mardoche, you look like the man your daddy should have been. Is there something you want to tell me? And then you started telling me about what it was like for you being left behind. Because, as the only queer one, I left her behind. Didn't know she was gay too. And, well, I'm pansexual. Let me be honest with the titles, guys. Because if I end up with a husband, I don't want anybody saying, you said you was gay on the show, you got a whole ass man. And I remember hearing, and the guilt I felt when you told me what you went through. Because had I been there, I could have protected you. And like, I think sometimes I still, I'm not going to cry. Oof.
I told myself today I wasn't going to cry.
I'm not going to cry. But I think sometimes I feel guilt about leaving you and my cousins behind because there was so much that I could have shielded you guys from. But I felt like I had to leave to figure out what healthy even was. Yeah. So I could come back and take you with me, which is what I ended up doing. And one story you told me was about the prom. Can you share that with the audience? Because that gutted me. What was it like for you being a queer teenager in a West Indian Haitian household? Yeah. Wanting to go to the prom as your real authentic self.
I just remember, well, first of all, it was just 1 year after I realized I was queer. And I remember getting a job at Babies R Us, I was saving my money. I was working 30 hours as a high schooler, right? I was like, I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wear a tux with some heels. I'm going to get myself a 24-inch weave, a lace front.
Okay, the brat?
Yeah, no, for real.
It's giving the brat, though.
For real. I was like, I already know what colors I want. I just need the perfect person to be next to me, right? To look good with me as well. And so I did the whole promposal, had the girl, had the outfit.
Wait. You did a promposal to a girl?
Yes, I did in front of the whole school.
Wow. You gay.
I got in trouble.
Oh my God.
I got in trouble by the director, even though she's a lesbian, right? She just didn't like that I was setting a tone.
Of freeness?
Not just freeness, just that I was setting a tone that I can disrupt important things that are happening in the school schedule because I did it during assembly.
Oh, so it wasn't about the gay.
It wasn't about the gayness. Okay. I was at assembly.
Yeah.
And
you're being a Sagittarius.
And I had I had paid someone to come sing and stop assembly.
Okay, shout out to you guys know when we do signs. We finally have a Sagittarius in the show. Shout out to y'all messes. Yeah. I love Sagittarius, but y'all don't be giving enough dams up front. Your motto as a Sag is do what you want and ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Yes. So, but to fast forward from that, like I got the promposal, I got my.
She said yes?
Oh, she said yes.
Okay, Cat Daddy, you looked at me like, of course she said yes.
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
We already talked about it. It was just more of like, how are you going to ask me? You know, and that was just the surprise aspect, right? So I got the date. I got my outfit from Men's Warehouse. My best friend came with me, tried it on, picked out this color actually, because blue looks really good on me.
Plug for the show.
You know, for real. And so I remember just going to prom. My mom was like, oh, like, I know you told me you bought your outfit. You don't need anything from me, being hyper independent as a Haitian.
Which is a trauma response for immigrant children. Yes.
I was like, Mom, you don't need to do nothing. I got everything. It was kind of me saying that was one, the hyper independence, but two, I know I got a suit upstairs. And so she was like, well, I haven't seen anything for prom. Like, let me see. Especially since she's like comparing me with my older sister, Esther. Esther had 2 limousines, multiple dresses for prom. So she's like
super femme, super straight, keeps on like very fertile.
Like Esther's, our house for Esther's prom was the house that everyone got ready for and had the pre-party and after party. So she's like, there's like, you need nothing. Like, this is confusing. Like I want to see something. And so when I finally showed her the tux and she was just like, what is this? And she's like, we are going to see, I think she brought me to Sears and this is 2 days before prom. I'm like, I'm a plus size woman. You're not gonna
to get you a dress
to get me a dress.
Yeah, plus size girls can't find last minute
in
dresses.
two days.
Not for prom, no.
No.
Yeah.
And so we were able to find. It was a cute dress, right? We found one.
Why'd you go along with that? Since considering you had already decided to honor who you were,
it was more
like why'd you play along with that?
I played along. So in my mind, I was like, okay, cool. You know, she wants me to do this dress thing. I'll do it. She's yelling at me. Trauma response is just to go with whatever, like survivor mode, you know, just hearing her yell and like
you were shutting down.
She was like, are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay?
What did
like,
you say?
I was like, no, I'm not gay. I just want to wear a tux. Of course I'm gay.
Wait, pause. Again, for those of you who are watching the show, visually it's very easy to see that you guys are a lesbian couple. Like nobody had to have that announcement. You really looked your mother straight in the face and said, I'm not gay.
Yes.
After you showed her your Dyke of the Century tux.
My Dyke of the Century tux. I told her I is not gay.
And what did she say? Did she believe you?
I said this is fashion.
See, this is why we have to do a sound check on laughing. Mama, this is fashion. I love how the Haitian accent came out when you started lying. Oh no, mommy, this is fashion.
This is fashion. And she was like, this is not fashion. This is
homosexual.
Gay. Yes, exactly. And so and I think what hurt me in that moment was Esther was there. And
your big sister.
My big sister was there, and
my goddaughter, your big sister, yes.
Yes, she made Esther and I and my mom go dress shopping after school. And so I was just like, really? Like,
did Esther know that you were gay?
No, but there was some inkling. Like everyone had an inkling since I was a kid. You know?
I remember, yes.
Yeah, everyone had an inkling, right? And so fast forward, the day of prom, I told my mom I'm getting ready at Jamaica's house. Sorry, I didn't mean to name drop, but
she's not my friend. You say whatever you want.
We're still on good terms.
Shout out Jamaica.
So I'm like, yeah, mom, let's drop me off at like Jamaica's house, who AKA is my prom date. But no, we're just getting ready there, like our friends are. And she dropped me off, but she didn't know I had packed my bag the night before, my duffel bag with the tux, the heels, and everything, right? And she dropped me off. I went to prom. It was great.
In the tux or the dress?
In the tux. Of course, the tux.
Okay, I just want to make sure for the audience that we're hitting the points. Okay,
yeah.
So you lie, say, no, mommy, I know gay. Then you go to your friend's house and then dress as gay as possible with your girlfriend. Y'all go to prom. And then what happens when you come home?
So the main thing that's really important about getting ready for prom is that my cousin did my makeup. And she took my photos. The makeup was really beautiful, but she posted them on social. And so,
but she took photos in the prom. You knew they were gonna get out, friend.
I did. So photos for prom, I actually dodged the camera the whole time that night.
You were internalizing so much shame.
I did not want to be seen. And so I dodged the camera. I was good for prom.
All right, so for the sake of this, because we only have an hour, I don't want to get too much into what happened in prom, but like, so that was a lot of shame in that story.
Yes,
like you
basically.
It was like you were fighting to be who you were.
Yeah.
But you were also having to like make sure that nobody saw you being who you were, who was close to the family.
Exactly.
You mentioned that my aunt, and you guys know that I love my aunt. I've talked about her frequently on the show and in different things on live. There's an altar to her at my house. You guys seen the altar with her beautiful picture. You mentioned a story about one time that she came to your defense.
Okay, so yes, she did. So what happened was when I got picked up from my dad immediately was like, I saw you on social media with this tux, and he just punched me, right? He punched me right immediately once I got in the car. Just in my face. Like he just punched, like my dad just like pop. And I was like, I'm not gay, like stuff like that. And so we get to my aunt's house, our aunt's house, right? And he has me sitting there in the living room, he's yelling. And he's just yelling like, you're gay, like why would you dress like that? You're Satan. And then I just remember Melina and her husband, our aunt, and her husband being like, she's such a good kid, like she's good, like why are you treating her like this? And I just remember her going on that rant of like, why are you doing this to her?
That story hurts me for many reasons. Number one, I didn't know he hit you.
Yeah, he continuously, but we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah, no, like, because he wouldn't have done that around me because he's scared of me. So that's a good thing to know. I could be a goon for you. Like, he don't play with me. The family always thought of me as the scary one because I could not be shamed. Because in these households, and maybe we should put a trigger warning for this episode. I didn't realize it was going to take this turn. But in these kind of households, it can get violent, whether it's physically or emotionally, energetically, spiritually. Because your father's probably the most evangelical person in our family right now, and so because he's so evangelical, I'm just disappointed but not surprised, if that makes sense. My mother would know better. My mother has never hit me my entire life.
Wow.
I know. And
Damn.
I've never been spanked. I've never dealt with colorism in the family. Like, there are so many stories that you told me of things that you went through that we don't have to get into.
Yeah.
That I did not go through.
Yeah.
And when I left, that safety left with me, which I think that's where my guilt comes from. Because in the family, there was this thing of, you can't do it around her because she's going to.
Yeah. To this day. To this day.
There are things that the family will not do and show their asses unless I'm out of the room because they know better. I will blow this whole thing down. Everybody could die tonight. Like, I'm gonna burn this whole house down. There was a Thanksgiving we were having, and I didn't, at this time, I wasn't even out or didn't even know that I was pansexual yet. And Melissa, our cousin, mentioned a lesbian at her school. And she mentioned something in passing. It was very small. And my mom was like, they let gays at school? Oh, let me tell you, Thanksgiving was over. Okay? Turkey went flying. People were screaming. I was like, yeah, y'all some bigots. And I looked at Melissa and said, that girl, whoever she is that you just mentioned, she's a good person. Don't mind these bigots who are sitting at the table with it. And I pointed to all of our parents. I was like, they're bigots. Fuck them. Fuck Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
And they were like, oh my God. No rights for you, right? They were like, oh my God, she's so crazy. So the family thinks I'm nuts because whenever they get abusive, I shut shit down. And when I hear what you've gone through, it's fascinating because for some reason, I'm just a little different. You know what I mean? Maybe it's me being neurodivergent. I knew how to immediately say, I can't stomach this. You can't do this around me. But you guys were a lot more gracious, to Chloe's point, to some of the abuse. And yet, despite us taking two different routes, what field are you in, Mardoche? Share with the audience.
I am getting my PhD right now in clinical psychology.
So do you see, clap for that. Yes, my cousin's real smart or whatever. Yes. You guys know that everybody asks me why I'm not a clinical psychologist, and the answer is you can't be a psychologist because that'd be inappropriate and HIPAA would come for your ass because you can't tell a client, well, my spirit guide is telling me, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. But if I didn't have that gift, I probably would have done the same thing. And so it's just interesting to me that you are almost like the version of me that stayed behind. And now you're having more fun than most of the family. Those same people that we just named are locked in their rooms, devastated by regret and sorrow and all these wounds that they haven't healed from. And you have a girlfriend and y'all are planning vacations and going on foodie tours and having all this fun, coming to visit me in LA. And it's almost like, I think the reason why I don't feel anger towards the family is because I feel sad for them.
I do too.
Yeah. Like, you get to a point where you start to pity your abusers. Which is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I feel like there are so many people who watch me who only see the self-actualized Blue. They don't know I came from that. And there are things that happened that you don't know about that happened before you were born that I don't even want to get into.
Fair enough.
But there's people running around with machetes and all types of wild stuff. You've heard the stories. Yes. My mother, I'm just saying, my mother ran after her mother with the machete. We're still friends. But that's all the West Indies are laughing because that part is funny to them. For the Americans who are appalled, machetes are like a love language in a very toxic way. And then you end up in the space now where you're freely yourself. When did you move out? Because you have to eat shit for survival, right? A lot of queer kids, either they're homeless or they shut up and they stay in the house and eat shit. So when did you say it's time for me to leave the house?
So I decided that when I was 11. I said, I'm going to get a full ride to college with residential and dining. I'm going to have somewhere to live. And ironically, I'm wearing the shirt of the school that saved me.
Shut them out.
Simmons College, but it's now Simmons University.
Shout out to Simmons. I have a lot of friends from Simmons.
And so during my 4 years, like, I was honest with my housing, and I was like, I can't go home during the summers or during winter break or during Thanksgiving break. Like, I need to be here. And so they were like, sometimes they would let me stay there just for $50, or sometimes they would just let me stay there for free. And so just having that. And then I had to move back home after I graduated, though, because finding a job was hard. Finding a job that...
What year was that?
2019. So recently, like, finding a job that matched my heart and matched all the work I had done for so long, I couldn't find it. So I made a plan, like, I'm going to stay home for a year. And so in 2021, I moved out. And I've been on my own since then. And I can't go back. If I go back, my parents, well, specifically my mom, is like, if you come back, you have to be straight. Like, you have to dress this way. You need to be this way, or you can't come back. And so
I'm trying so hard not to get angry because I'm supposed to be a host. But
this is me. Like, I'm always 24, like, angry, because then they'll call her and be like, what you doing? Then they'll go on like a 10-minute rant about why you shouldn't be gay. Like, This
And
is
you stay on the phone?
constant. She stays.
I stay on the phone. I put myself on mute, but it do be random. I'll be like, Mom, like, can you make me some rice and chicken? Well, you can't be gay, and like we
To
don't
eat the rice and chicken, homosexuals eat rice and chicken all the time.
But it be random on random stuff.
I will say
Random.
this though. One of the ways that I trained my mother doesn't do any of that crap. Like, and then one of the ways that I trained her is, you ever seen that clip of Peppa Pig? And they're asking Peppa Pig, do you know how to whistle? And Peppa can't whistle, but her friend knows how to whistle, and Peppa's mad. So she just hangs up on the bitch, like quietly, like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
My mother knows that if she talks to me crazy any kind of way, I'm gonna be like, Mommy, I love you so much. I hope you feel better. I'll call you later when you're not talking like this.
That's me.
And she will get hung up on.
That is
Your
me.
father is frightened of me because if he even raises his voice, I'll be like, who are you talking to? Is there a basic bitch behind me? You good, uncle? You good? And so it's one of those things of, at a certain point, you're gonna have to stop being so polite, fam.
I know, and it's really hard, and I think
Yeah.
it's something in therapy that I'm still trying to navigate and understand how I can be able to do that, because my mind and my core beliefs are so ingrained that like doing that is disrespectful.
It is.
And also like they
It
talk
is,
about
yeah.
all their sacrifices, and that
They weaponize their sacrifices.
yes, not only just coming to America, but me being a child that needed more attention medically and other things like.
But they're your parents. Nobody told him
Exactly.
your daddy to shoot up the club and make you. Like, they don't
Exactly.
get to throw that in your face.
Exactly. And so sometimes I have to, which is crazy because it's easier for me to tell my clients all of this.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's always easier to give advice than to take it.
And then when I look at myself, I'm like, girl, you should be doing the same, right? And it's hard. And I don't know why it's hard.
It's God, yeah. If I could go back in time, I would have started flying you out to visit me where I was living a long time ago. No, seriously. I almost feel like I owe you and Melissa an apology. Oh, I'm not going to cry on the show. But I almost feel like I owe you guys an apology because the family, they did things to you that I didn't know that they were capable of. And here's the thing, the point of sharing these family secrets, because we want to be like, Blue, you really out here just spilling your And you know, Mommy watches the show.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, Nana.
Hi. My mother watches the show. I'm not sure if she knows what I'm talking about half the time. She'd be like, okay, your friends are on. Oh, you look so pretty. Who's that? Like, my mother is constantly watching the show. So she's going to see this and I don't care because I feel like at a certain point you have to shame the devil and you have to make it abuse inconvenient. And one of the things that's so fascinating to me is I flew you out to LA because I constantly want you and Melissa and even Jonathan and Mitchell, if they were open to it, to see how life gets to be on the other side of healing. I'm completely healed. The family has zero control over me, right? I want you guys to see what's possible because if I knew what was possible, I could have probably skipped about 7 years of really damaging things that I did to myself. Just knowing there's an alternative. But also part of me wonders, in the field you're in, you're being re-triggered in the field. And this is like the audience, you guys know, we always talk about therapy. Let's get into it. We're in that part of the show. We always talk about therapy. So me and Mardoche come from an immigrant family where emotional intelligence was not the norm and emotional abuse was very, very normalized. I called my family verbally abusive. I didn't know that people were getting hit out in these streets, but I always known the family was verbally abusive, as are most Caribbean families, right? The way we talk to each other as a people is naturally very abusive, verbally abusive. However, when you decided to be in the clinical field, when you arrived, we're not going to get into too much detail, a white woman
Oh my God.
who shares space with you wrote you a correspondence that was so disrespectful. I had to remind myself how much I had to lose because I would have caught a flight to Boston with her ass, right? And mind you guys, we always talk about how Black people want Black therapists because they want their therapist to be culturally competent, to understand the nuance, and to not feel like they have to justify their existence, right? To know that Black clinicians are experiencing racism from white clinicians. Fuck the patients. The clinicians amongst themselves are dealing with racism. Number one, what was your thought when the Karen who shall not be named, showed her ass to you because you were simply doing what was right and felt comfortable as a colleague talking you crazy like you were a bitch off the street?
I think for me, it was just like, oh, I've been dealing with this a lot, but now that someone put it in a nice little tight little bow in an email, I'm like, this shit is real, you know?
Racism in the therapy field is very real.
It's real because it's not only your colleagues, it's also the people training you. It's also the people that's signing your stipend for you to be in this program and to live off this program. And so when I got that email, I just felt an immense anger. Like, I feel like I'm fighting through all these hoops in order to support my community. And I have these people that are saying like, I'm an ally. I'm here to support you. Like your work is important. Like having you in this program is important because we don't have that representation. But at the same time, you're showing your ass. You really don't mean it. You're just saying it to say it, just to have it on paper, because now the APA, which is the American Psychological Association, requires us to have multiculturalism, whatever that means to white people, within our program. And so I feel like oftentimes I'm just a check mark. And with that,
especially at our school,
because Chloe as well went to URI as well. I don't care that I'm naming it, but
they'll be okay.
But as I like go through that motion and through these systems at this institution, I realize it's time for me to go and to make something, just to get that piece of paper so that I'm able to just make something out of myself. Because America requires you to have this piece of paper. I'm just gonna take it and just move on from it.
So what's really devastating for me to hear is that I say all the time that not all therapists are good therapists, and finding a good therapist, it's like finding a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? You have to date them and figure out if you're compatible or not. And we already know that there are therapists who are ill-equipped to deal with people of color and to deal with queer people, but to hear that there are some who are just Karens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, what would be your advice to someone if they found out their therapist was a Karen? Because I will say this, people are going to be surprised, as pro-Black as I am, we have a lot of white people who watch the show.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And the white folks who watch the show are the ones that I can talk to like this, right? Like none of my white friends, shout out to y'all, I love y'all. I do not code switch for y'all. If I have to code switch for you as a white friend, we can't be friends, right? And so the ones who listen to the show, they're like, okay, I'm going to listen so I can hear like how to fix it without me getting cussed out. So if you had to say let's talk to the therapist first. What would you say to a white therapist or a non-BIPOC therapist who is seeking to actually do justice to people of color and to the queer community?
I would say to let us be into the room, not as a check mark or number. You utilize us as individuals who are also just therapists.
Yeah.
Not just a therapist who happens to be Black or a therapist who happens to be queer.
What would you say to them about their clients, though?
About their clients who are people of color?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say cultural humility 100%. Like
cultural humility, wow.
100%, because I feel like white clinicians try to pick out this treatment or this modality that we have been trained to, but oftentimes BIPOC are using other things like spiritual means, you know? So like being able to listen to your client of what else they want to include in their healing and in their treatment, because we're not going to always be doing CBT, and they know what that is.
Yes.
If you're a clinician,
everybody knows what CBT is.
Yeah, you're not going to be using CBT, DBT, and all those modalities to the T. You're going to have to include the cultural part, and the cultural humility part comes with being okay to be wrong.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I had a friend who I loved, who her therapist gave her such bad advice. I was scared for her. And she took it, and it was bad advice.
Oh, Lord.
Okay? And it hurts my heart because I'm a coach. I'm not a therapist. I am a coach. 90% of the people I work with say, you're helping me more than my therapist. That is not a compliment to me. I'm not supposed to be helping you more than your therapist. I'm a coach. Like, they are helping you deal with all that clinical stuff, and I'm supposed to be the person who's helping you strategize. The fact that the person who's strategizing is showing you more psychological safety than the person with all the degrees behind their names, it upsets me, right? But I also have a lot of friends in the past who were therapists who were just horrible people. And so if you were a client now, let's go on the other side, how would you tell a person who's seeking therapy how to smell if they might have the wrong therapist in their midst? Or maybe how they might know they have the right therapist in their midst?
I think you have a wrong therapist in the mix if they are not listening. And what I mean by they're not listening is when they give you that reflective piece of where like, did you mean this? And you're consistently saying no.
Yeah.
That's a red flag right there. Because if they're not being able to restate the information that you're staying outside, verbally out, that means that they're not internalizing how to help you.
They're not processing it in a way that's loving and helpful.
Exactly.
And that's actually a great point, because I had a friend who, I've talked about this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to overstate it. We were friends for over 20 years. And when I looked back at the point where we probably needed to stop being friends, because you know when you love somebody, you last much longer than you're supposed to.
Of course.
Every time he would be like, oh, so what you mean is, I would always be like, no, not at all. Like, you weren't even close.
Exactly.
It was a year of him constantly repeating to me what he thought I said, and it was never right. And I was like, how'd you get there?
You're not listening.
But not only not listening, the conclusions she was jumping to were so nasty and not of my character. I was like, no, I didn't do that for that. I would never do that for that reason. Oh my God. And it wasn't me being defensive. It was me being stunned by how off he was. So you're saying if a therapist can't even internalize and process what you're thinking like a good friend.
Yes, because
At the very basic level.
And the reason why I say that is because as a therapist, when I'm listening to my client, not only am I listening to the facts and trying to understand them, but I'm also thinking of what modalities do I need to use in that present moment? What does my client need in that present moment? So if I can't even understand you and I'm trying to help you, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking of what questions I need to ask you to help you clinically. What CBT skills do you need in this current moment with the fact that you're saying? So the fact if a clinician cannot understand what you're saying, then it's pointless.
How do you know that you're in the midst of a good therapist to make it more positive? How do you know, like, oh, this is it. This is my home. Because I have people who've told me that they'd rather break up with their boyfriends than with a good therapist because it takes a while to get there. Chloe was like, yeah.
I still don't have a good one.
Damn.
Yeah, I've been
It's
through like at least
hard.
3. I'm just,
You've been to 3 therapists?
yeah.
Why did you leave them?
The first one was a white male and he didn't get me. He was like, it was like one time I was going through some stuff with my mom. He was like, oh, you should just stop talking to her.
Oh, your best friend mom that you were just shouting out earlier in the show?
Yeah. 'Cause we
Yikes.
had some issues, but I was just like, that's not good advice.
Yeah,
And
that's bad advice.
He wasn't. And then another one, it was just, I felt like she was just agreeing to agree.
Was she a person of color?
She was a Black woman. And I was like so happy to have a Black woman therapist. But it was just like, she wasn't helping. She was like, that's not right. Like, I was just like,
Oh, not hey girl, hey.
yeah.
And you know what too? I'm happy you brought that up because when I think about the bad therapists I know personally, they're all Black. So
yeah.
It happens because
not all kinfolk.
is the right.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what sometimes happens is like it becomes too conversational. No, we need the strategies. Like
Yeah.
the actual clinical strategies and how you're going to practice that for next week when we meet up, right?
So is that how you know you have a good therapist?
That's what I was about to say. That's how you know you have a good therapist. When they're actually giving you tools to practice and are open to changing those tools until we find an actual one.
Wait, that's how you know you have a good coach. So that's okay.
It's
it
definitely
tracks.
the same.
Let me tell you,
It's definitely.
the first thing I say to all my clients is please get a notepad. Because there's going to be notes and I need to know that you're actually retaining them. Because if we're actually strategizing, it can't be a kiki session.
Yeah.
I think folks are always surprised when they come to me for a consult or a reading. They're like, oh, we're not just talking. No, you're not paying me to just kiki. You can call your homegirl for that. I'm not charging you $200 an hour to hang out with you like you're the homegirl. Right. Now, here's the thing, though. Now that you know that the system is rigged against us, duh, and you know that the Karens amongst us, by the way, shout out to that beautiful email that was sent to her as a response.
You know who you are.
Yeah, Mardoche wrote a very you got me fucked up, fuck around and find out kind of email. And I use my editing skills to make it what I call Karen speak.
Yes.
I speak Karen very fluently. Very per my last email kind of tone. And by the time it was done, Chloe was like, yes, you better tell that bitch. And to the point where she was like, Marcia, can we get on the phone? We scared her into like leaving the email and wanting to talk to you on the phone.
And I don't know if I'm going to still speak to her, but anyways.
Don't speak to her till you're safe. What were we about to say, Chloe?
No, I was just agreeing.
I have a question for you now. Like you just said that you haven't found a good therapist yet. And you're in a relationship. By the way,
With a therapist.
With a therapist.
Yeah.
Explain that to me, friend. That's a lot. By the way, Chloe and Mardoche just celebrated their 1 year anniversary. 1 year for the young kids is like 3 or 4. So shout out to y'all. Invite me to the wedding.
Thank you.
All right. So like, how does it feel not having a good therapist, but to be sleeping with one? That's a very interesting.
I don't know. Currently, I don't think I need one right now.
No.
Yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, like I went through like going on antidepressants, trying to figure out how to get my anxiety like okay, and like just graduating college. So I was just like, I feel like I want to figure out myself by myself.
I call that therapy fatigue. Because you still need one, by the way. I love you.
I know. Oh no,
You still
I know I need one.
But there's a thing called therapy fatigue where you just like you need to not have anybody coming at you for a second.
Yeah, I just need a break.
I just need to I need some silence to even know what I feel so I can tell you when I find another therapist. Right?
That is, yes, boo, yeah.
And the funny thing is though, you're in the house though with a therapist and a life coach.
Yeah.
How's this week been for you, friend?
Girl, trying to figure out my goals in my life.
Right.
Y'all trying to make me realize I don't got it all here. Like,
I'm sorry, babe.
I know how hard it is for people to be around a coach all the time, but to be around a therapist and a coach, coach for a week straight in a house?
I feel like I'm always asking, so how does that make you feel, babe?
Oh my God, always. I'm just like, I don't know, girl.
And I'm the opposite. I was like, me and Chloe were talking in the car. I was like, so Chloe, why do you feel like that? Well, you need to find an answer for that, Chloe, before you think about anybody else, Chloe.
You need to stop saying but. You need them to figure out this. I'm like,
stop negating your feelings.
feelings.
I'm
like, oh God, I just like to not think about feelings sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, right? So here's the thing. It's good to not overthink.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of folks who know the language. There's a joke I used to always make. Like, I could tell y'all read a self-help book backwards. There are a lot of folks who know the language, but don't know shit about applying it. Their lives don't speak to any improvement. And so it's like, did you really read it? Like, did it really work? So I get how it can be exhausting. However, there's a difference between taking a break versus making excuses for not being an active participant in your own elevation. Why are you making a face, Chloe?
Because I know. Yeah. I know I need one. But if I don't have to talk about my feelings today, I'm okay with that.
How many days? You can give to like a month, a couple months?
We don't have to put a time limit on it.
I was about to say that.
Okay, so for you guys though, you're a young couple. What is it like being in a relationship during a time where people are acting like love is dead? Because a year for anybody at this point is considered a big deal. Like, it used to be like a year was big if you were in your 20s. I know 40-year-olds who can't pull off a year. I just dragged myself. Shut up, Blue. All right, go ahead.
God.
So what does it feel to be in a relationship during this time where social media is telling you that relationships are whack and F them and and everybody cheats? Like, what does it feel to be committed right now?
To be honest,
yeah,
I try not to listen to all that noise.
Amen.
But for me, it feels liberating to know that I have one person, right? It feels liberating to know that I do not have to continue doing this trial and error thing. And also,
the errors were erroring because me and Mardoche would get on a call every breakup.
Yeah, it's hard. And I'm just like, I understand people are about their hot girlness, and that's cool and all. I think for me, I kind of got tired of it. I got tired of like taking on multiple people's energy. I get energy deprived, like I'm energy fatigued easily from other people. And trying to be with like multiple people, it just wasn't there. And so also celebrating our 1 year to us, like it feels so fast. It feels like it's been a couple months.
A year feels fast, y'all.
Yeah.
So y'all still really like each other. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so.
Y'all still, why do you, like, you want to say something about that. What were your thoughts on that, Chloe?
Well, before that, but I was just saying, like, for me, like, it's been easy. Like, to do a 1 year, like, it's just been easy. I don't know, like, before, like, we got in a relationship, like, I didn't really, I wasn't into the love. Like, I thought.
Oh, you were a hot girl?
I mean.
Were you a little for the streets?
If I had something, I had something. If I didn't, I didn't. I was just
were you a homosexual fuckboy?
Well,
Okay. We're not gonna call you Future. We're not gonna call you Future yet, even though you are from Atlanta.
No, I didn't need anybody. I think that was the thing. I didn't need anybody, so I was okay with myself.
Okay.
So to me, like being together, it was easy. Like,
how did y'all meet?
Hinge.
Everybody keeps telling me about Hinge. I keep getting likes on there and not checking. I'm like, I don't want to know who liked me today.
Surprised.
I was surprised too.
Why?
Because it was my first time actually being on a dating app. I tried once in undergrad, but I was like, I was seeing too many of my friends on there. I was like, it's too much.
That's why I can't do it. I've had people be like, hit me up, and I think they're gonna chat me up. They'll be like, I love you on Hollywood Unlocked. I'm trying to smash, sir. Like, what the? Yeah. No, don't do that. Even clients on the phone, like, I'll be on the phone, they'll be like, oh, I saw you on such. I'm like, I'm supposed to be helping you. Don't do that. Let's not do that. So I can imagine for you in a dating app seeing your friends.
Yeah, someone screenshotted my things like, what you doing on here? I said, no, I gotta stop. So I joined back in like, what, 2021?
Yes.
And then like a month we met.
Yeah, because we matched on December 13th.
You remember the exact day?
I do because I swiped.
That's so romantic.
It's because I swiped right on my birthday for her.
And you were her birthday gift to herself?
And then it took a week.
By the way, let me tell y'all, my cousin's a little bit of a cat daddy. She be opening doors and shit. Like, she is so shit. When I made that joke earlier about how she's the man her daddy should have been, I do think that's why he's so mad at you.
Dead.
No, seriously, I've seen your father. You act the way your mother probably wished he did. And it's so interesting that y'all's relationship is 10 times healthier than theirs.
Yeah.
So they're trying to force you to be straight, but you're actually doing what they couldn't. Ooh.
Exactly.
Well, that's a drag. Love my family. Before this, were you guys in long-term relationships? What was your longest relationship before this?
A month, 2.
A month or 2. Wow. Okay, I'm not gonna call you Future, Chloe.
No, because
but you,
okay,
you see the sign.
growing up, I didn't see healthy relationships. Let's just say that.
Neither did we, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe in it, the love thing.
Oh, you didn't believe in love at all?
She didn't.
You was on Hinge out here trying to see what was out there.
I was like, ooh, what's out here? Yeah, I was.
And found you a whole West Indian cat daddy. Okay.
And she was actually the first girl I went on a date with.
Yeah.
Because I didn't come out until 2020.
That was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So what made you come out? And how do you identify? Because we don't want to assume.
I was bisexual. Now I consider myself pansexual.
Oh, you're pansexual like me?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Another pansexual on the show. Did we do like a hand clap? That was like the color purple. Sister, I see you. I've never had another pansexual on the show self-identified.
Yeah,
so I'm
like
excited.
when I first came out, I was bisexual. But I was like talking to Mardoche. Well, anyway. But I came out in 2020. But I knew before because I was like, when everybody was like, oh, I don't see myself dating a girl. I'm like,
I'd eat a cooch. Why not?
I don't see nothing wrong with it. So I was like, I'm gonna just come out. I came out first to my sister.
Is she older or younger?
She's older. She's 30. She's like, okay. And she was like, have you told mom? I was like, no, not yet. And then I told my aunt who just passed.
Aww.
And then I told my mom. She was like, oh, I knew it. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Oh, your mother's fun. She was like, yes.
She's like,
we going on a pride, baby.
I know she was like, I thought your sister would be something, but I knew it.
Yeah,
It's the bounce.
I
It's the
thought your
bounce.
sister would be bad. I was like, ooh. And
Your mother was excited to finally have her a alphabet mafia in the family.
And she was like, I should have known when we went to church that one time he was talking about gay is not right. You got so mad at me. You got so mad. I was like, at that time I was an ally, mom. But
I was an ally too.
Right.
I was an ally for so long, and then ended up with a girlfriend, just like you.
The thing is that's funny about you both is that you guys had alphabet friends.
Yeah.
And you guys were
I had a lot.
I love my friends. I'm allies. And then you're like, wait.
I might be a little bit of a homosexual. By the way, this is a joke that we said. I should say to people who are watching the episode for the first time or the show for the first time, welcome. And welcome back to our ongoing guest. I started saying homosexual as a joke when I came out to my fiance. He was the first person I came out to, by the way. I didn't come out to the family at all. They just had to deal with whatever. And he was like, what's wrong? I was like, I think we need to break up. He was like, why? I love you. He was like, I don't think we can get married because I think I'm a homosexual. And he was like, what now? And I was trying to be funny. So something about the X made it seem like it was a lot more sinister. Yes. Making it a soft S felt like Snagglepuss, you know what I mean? And so it was a joke. And since then, I say homosexual. And when people see me, they're like, Blue, you are so well versed. Why can you not say homosexual? I'm like, that's not as fun as homosexual.
No, for real.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy that I thought I was an ally. But I think too, not all allies are gay. I don't want anybody watching this and saying, oh, so if my kid's an ally, he's homosexual.
No. It don't work like that.
But because society is not so welcoming, you have to figure out what you are.
Exactly.
And I think being pan is probably the hardest to figure out.
It definitely is.
When you go to LGBTQ plus, and then you double click and there's I whatever, we are at the bodega around the corner. The pansexuals are.
Yeah.
It's people don't even know what we are half the time. I have bisexuals constantly asking me, why are you not bi? And so for me, the way I describe it is a pansexual means that I fall in love with energy. Not labels. I don't mind labels. I like to know what things are. So if you want to call yourself something, please let me know so I can call you by your name. So it's not that I'm one of those, I don't like labels. No, if you buy a can of soup, you need labels sometimes, right? Functionally speaking. But for me, I dated a lesbian who transitioned to being a trans man and didn't give a fuck. And I was like, oh, no, this is not bi. Because we're off the binary now and I'm still here.
Right.
So that's to the people who are watching who don't know what pansexual means, it means if you fall in love with somebody, you actually don't care what they call themselves. Straight, cis, trans. If I love you, whatever you call yourself, I'm rocking with you.
Yeah.
And bisexuality is not always that rigorous. And so I do like the distinction because my bi friends are a lot more traditional.
And that's why I figured out like this year, like I'm not bi because like I could date anybody. Like it's not.
Girl, I have. It's exhausting.
But it's beautiful though.
It's beautiful. It's very beautiful, but I'm tired. Yeah. It's a lot. So for me, it's like I feel watching you guys, it's been very healing because you remind me of what I could have had if I had been your age during a time that was more open. Because you have to think about it. You're blossoming in the 2020s and even the late 2010s.
Right.
I was blossoming in the 90s and the early 2000s. So the stuff that I see you guys do, even though I had the mental fortitude, the landscape didn't allow it. Do you think that the gay community is now being seen as overzealous? And what are your thoughts about people who are always going, oh, the gays and the trans, they always have some complaint. Like, what do you think about that social media narrative that is highly championed by people like Dave Chappelle, whether he realizes it or not, that the gays are overzealous and oversensitive? Because I'm always having to explain to people, first of all, there's white gays and black gays, and racism does exist under the rainbow, the same way that it exists with psychologists and everybody else. But like, do you think that your community, especially the generation underneath you, who's trying to push y'all out really early, do you think they're being overzealous, or do you think that the old folk are just not catching up fast enough and being bitter?
I think it's easy to call someone sensitive when you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's easy to say someone is sensitive when you've never seen it before, right? And not that you haven't seen it before, you haven't made space for it.
Yeah.
And so do I think our generation is being sensitive? It's not that they're being sensitive. There are some elements where we're like, we can be okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Some nuance and picking your battles is still a thing.
Yes. But no, I don't. I think our generation is really just trying to create a space where everyone could be themselves.
Yeah. And your generation is also more intolerant of bullshit.
Oh, for sure.
Corporate wise, personally, anything.
Yeah, Chloe, I can tell in your eyes. Like, Chloe's the kind of person who, if she don't like what's going on, she'll be like, all right, then I'm gonna be in the car. Like, she will.
I will dip. I will say something, or I will just leave you because nah.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Watching two women who are in the same age group, but one's coming from an immigrant family, first generation American. You're I'm not even the first generation.
Yeah,
I almost got deported like 17 times, y'all. But you're first generation, and then an African American person, and seeing how, even though you guys have the same ideologies, how it translates so differently with family.
Yeah.
What have you learned, each of you, from each other's cultures? And I'm saying this because me and Chloe talked about this. I hate diaspora wars. Black is black is black is black to me. Anything that you can say that one culture of blackness said to you, you said it back. Right? So there's no victims here. We're all talking shit about each other. So I don't do the African American versus Caribbean or Caribbean versus African or African versus the world. Like, to me, everybody is my cousin. And I love moments where black people can heal that divide because we didn't create it.
Right.
exactly.
You know we didn't create it, right?
No, you know who did.
It was one boat, different bus stops, right? And so, like, what have you guys learned from each other's cultures? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. You want me to go first?
You go first.
I will say, I think I talk about this a lot with my other cousin is, I didn't know you could be friends with your parents. Or even not just friends, but like have a healthy relationship.
Oh, that's hurtful.
Where you can love one another and support one another and not put down your own ideologies down your child's throat. And I didn't know that siblings could be close.
You didn't even know that
Siblings could be. I was like, wow, y'all like each other, like, and that's beautiful.
And you have several siblings, friend. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I feel like just seeing how family can look like in a different light. Because we still have like similar family, similar family
but the
issues.
communication styles are different.
The communication styles are different, and the love is different too.
What do you mean the love is different?
I feel like just watching your family, like they love each other and
they express it.
They express it.
Because I feel like our family loves us deeply, but they can't express it.
They can't express it, but her family shows up in a different way.
That's still expressing it. Like anything that's outward, our family shuts down. Like what you mean? You want me to show up to a game? What's a game? Yeah.
You know, exactly. They show up like just with your sister's like murals, and her sister's an artist, and like how much your mother shows up. Like that's beautiful. And I think that's one thing, like just how love can be shown outwardly.
How old is your mother though?
She's just turned 56.
Yeah, so here's the thing. As you're talking, I'm realizing some of the stuff that we're identifying as immigrant, I don't think is immigrant. I think it's generational.
It could be because our parents are the same age.
Yeah. No, I'm talking, but they were raised by, the old guard.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so let's be honest. Okay. So it's like your father was the baby of the family, but he acts like my mom, who's the elder of the family.
Yeah.
And so I think some of it is generational because some of what you're describing actually would have been accurate for African Americans 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So I always say this joke, Latin America is always 40 years behind. Whatever African Americans are doing, we get it in 40 years. And so she's getting to benefit from something that you're like, maybe you're going to be able to do with your family. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like whether it's civil rights, whether it's therapy. I think the West Indies are just finding out about therapy like 5 minutes ago.
No,
like,
for real.
I have to pay somebody to talk to them. I could talk to George. Like we're always about a couple decades behind. And so one of the things I always give my African American friends their flowers is culturally, you guys are a lot more aggressive about pushing the needle. And we get to benefit from that. And I think a lot of times immigrant people, we are so stuck on the anti-Blackness that we're fed about American people that we don't think about, but they're being attacked by the media because they're pushing us further. You know what I mean? Like, there's a gratitude that I have for Black Americans that I think a lot of Black Americans don't even have for themselves because they haven't been allowed to.
Yeah.
How about you, Chloe? What have you learned from the Sac Passe posse?
I was just trying to think. It's I like in regards of her family, it's hard because I haven't been around her family.
You just learn that they're a lot stricter.
It's just a lot stricter.
We like our food.
I would say the food.
No, Haitian food is busting.
Music.
I could. Oh yeah, she loves Haitian music as well. I could make a phone call and we can have some Haitian food tonight.
Oh, that'd be good.
Do y'all want me to or not?
They got fried snapper with the sauce.
She keeps asking for the most expensive of Haitian dishes. I was trying to give her some fried chicken or something.
I want some white rice and some black bean sauce.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna get Chloe some catering because
some plantains and some pickles.
Not the pickles. By the way, if you guys have never had Haitian food, please do because I actually am thinking about having a Haitian themed dinner for my birthday.
That'd be beautiful.
Because I need some more black rice in my life. You guys, I don't even think I had a whole agenda, and I think we actually went through it without me even looking at my notes once because I was just so fascinated by the conversation. You saw how this went faster than you thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were both so nervous, and I was like, you guys talk to me all the time. The premise of the show is we're just sitting around the coffee table having a conversation.
I think it's the camera pointing at me.
Really? Do you get scared of cameras?
I don't think I'm very photogenic, so it's like
That's a lie. That's a lie. I know people who are not photogenic.
I was like, babe, you take a lot of photos.
selfies.
She's like, I self-direct. So let's go over what we learned today. Okay, class. What did we learn today? We learned that bad therapy serves no one. No, bad therapists serve no one. We learned that the Karens must be stopped. We learned that we have to make it inconvenient for people to abuse us. We heard that generational curses can sometimes be a factor just as much as culture. Like sometimes just the generation that you subscribe to, right, can be just as bad as culture. And we also learned that the kids are not okay. The kids are not okay. Like I do feel like I love how smart your generation is. It's so funny. I'm a geriatric millennial. You're a baby millennial. So it's like technically we're the same generation, but also technically I have friends who have kids your age. The millennials is a big generation, right? Like y'all need to like.
I'm actually not considered a millennial. And
She's
I hate
not.
that. I hate it.
You missed it by a year. What are you considered?
Gen Z.
You're you're an embryo. So
I'm 1997, so I got
97. I'd already been through some stuff that I needed therapy for by 97. So you're literally young enough to be my daughter. Like quite literally.
I still consider myself a baby millennial though. I can't.
Oh no, we'll call you baby millennial. It's fine.
We'll adopt you.
The fact that you're Gen Z for real.
Stop.
Okay. Wow. Okay. This.
When I looked it up, I was shocked.
I feel so old that I'm talking to a baby millennial and a Gen Zer
don't call me a Gen Zer,
who are debating who is what.
I don't want to.
I, as Father Christmas, have to sign off because the show has to end soon. We got to pay some bills. For those of you who are watching, please remember, if you haven't already, we have an On Thy Shift workshop that is going to be amazing. And Mardoche and Chloe, I've invited you guys to join on the family discount because the exact things that we talk about in the workshop are the things that I've seen you guys struggle with all week. And I was like, oh, there's a thing for that. You know what I mean? So there's an app for that. There's an application for that. So it's like, I think the only thing that's stopping you off from freeing yourselves is the tools. Because like you said, therapists and therapy, they have all these modalities and all these things that they teach you, and that's great. Emotional intelligence is a whole different beast.
Exactly.
With a whole different set of, and it's more intuitive and holistic and culturally competent, to your point. So if you heard something that resonated with you on the show and you think that you might need a little bit of fellowship and some tools to free yourself, please join us at ots20.eventbrite.com. That's ots20.eventbrite.com. OTS stands for On Thy Shift. And the 20 is because this is my 20th anniversary doing this work. August, y'all need to come back. August of 2023, it will be 20 years since I started working in emotional intelligence. Wow. I know it went by really. You thought your year went by fast? That went by quick. And the thing is, we're doing 20% off for anybody who wants to join because I know some of you have been saving your coins. And for my beautiful cousins, because now I feel like you're my in-law cousin, where can they find you guys?
You can find me at manifest_Mardoche, MARDOCHE at what's it called? Instagram. So.
And Mardoche, is that from the Bible?
Yeah.
When you were born,
it's Mordecai in English, but
because Mordecai.
Mordecai is Esther's uncle, and Esther in real life is my sister's name. So
our families. Let me explain for a pause. We're gonna get to your handles in a second.
Okay, I don't know.
My government name is Maria Manuela. Maria Manuela is because my mother and my father fought over accents. Marie is French for Mary. My mother wanted to name me with a French name. And Manuela is clearly Spanish, and it means Emmanuel. It also means Jesus. My family named me Mary Jesus Telusma, translated. Then they named my baby cousin Esther straight from the Bible. Then Mardoche should have been Mordecai from the Bible. Do you see how religious our family is?
Exactly.
Like, it is so wild how even our names are steeped. We'll get into that in the whole other episode. Chloe, where can they find you?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know my Instagram. I think it's just .Chloe.
You really are a grandma. Y'all are some
I
interesting.
don't be on Instagram.
You don't be on Instagram as a Gen Zer.
now she don't.
I'm a
she
TikToker.
really don't. Like it'll take her a week to see my DMs. Like,
Are you serious? Oh, but you're a TikToker.
I don't TikTok. I like to scroll. I'm a scroller.
So, Chloe, you know what you just accidentally did?
What I don't.
Millennials go on Instagram.
and Gen Z's
go on TikTok. Okay, so we have 3 generations here.
No, don't do that.
No, we have 3 generations. Technically, I'm a Zennial. I'm not even, because I'm actually the other end of you. I'm half Gen X and half millennial, and you're the other side of the millennial. So we actually have 3 generations. You have a Zennial, i.e. a geriatric millennial, an actual proper millennial, and
She 1 year before me.
girl, don't fight this. And Chloe about to fight in the car, and then a Gen Zer. So 3 generations, 1 mic. Thank you guys for coming. Please tell all your young friends to watch the episode, because I can't wait to hear the feedback that you get from this. And also to all the white allies out there. I have one rule of thumb for you, because I've got a lot of emails from you saying that the last couple of episodes have been very helpful. The way you know if you're being a good ally is if you're not centering yourself. Right? Ally is someone who stands off to the left or the right to be of service. If you're centering yourself and your feelings and your ego and your desire to be right and vindicated or validated, in that moment, you're not an ally. You're a person in an argument. All right? All right, you guys, as always, please be kind to yourselves. Remember, we're all just human beings doing human shit. Bye. And that was the episode.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad.